Have you ever wanted to return to the Chapter 1 Fortnite map, but you never wanted to be in a situation where, you could potentially get your account compromised or your information stolen by using a private server, a hybrid server, or something along those lines? You just wish that Epic Games would give Chapter 1 some love for the first time in a long time, but you never wanted to really risk your own neck out there just to actually use the old versions of Fortnite. Well, it appears like that might be happening very soon, where you're actually going to be able to get an official Chapter 1 recreation in the game, and you'll be able to re-enjoy Chapter 1 at least for a month, because in today's YouTube video, we'll be talking about all the leaks, rumors, news, and footage regarding Chapter 1 potentially returning very soon. Now, also, I don't want to mention this right here, the little ghost NPCs, I think they're just really cool to see, they just point towards treasure. It's a nice little touch for Fortnitemares, right? I wish they would do more unique stuff like this, but one thing that we got to talk about that has been enabled now that we're in Fortnitemares is all related to the magical world of Kato Thorn and the Time Machine. As you guys know, the Time Machine room was now open with Fortnitemares, but at the start of the season, we knew about its existence, right? We had the cinematic trailer where Kato Thorn comes out of the Time Machine with Oro's head, and one thing that was very important about the cinematic trailer that a lot of people kind of caught on real quickly is that the date showcased in the trailer is actually the release date of Oro, meaning that one, Fortnite takes place in the current real world time, meaning that, when COVID was happening in real life, I guess, Fortnite was kind of going through something as well. But two, that they can use the time travel machine to actually hype up and give us some hints towards future lore aspects by having it say certain dates. And recently, when the actual time travel machine room has been enabled with Fortnitemares, we noticed that the date on it had actually changed to be July 12th of 2018. Now, what actually happened on July 12th of 2018? Well, it was the launch of Chapter 1 Season 5, meaning that Kato Thorn has some magical plan going on behind the scenes to actually go back there to Chapter 1 Season 5 and rift in some goodies that he actually wants. Now, before we actually talk about why this is a very important date to keep in mind, except for the fact that, it's a Chapter 1 season launch, I do want to mention one thing. The actual time machine is covered and, it's actually powered by something called chrono cells that you learn about in May's Snapshot questline. Chrono cells are basically quantum batteries that are charged by rifts themselves, and if you guys recall back to Chapter 1 Season 5, that was when rifts became an actual thing. Of course, we had teasers leading up to that season back in Chapter 1 Season 4, which showcased rifts actually showing up in the game, but we never knew they were a rift or anything until the game actually released that season. So it's interesting to note that the main place that is being focused on right now is the same place where rifts were introduced to the game, and it's the same time area that actually helps charge the quantum batteries that are used by the time machine itself. However, everything's not going to go as you expect it to go. Once the time machine actually rifts into Chapter 1 Season 5, it will vanish from the room in Kato Thorn's little, vault or whatever else that we currently are able to go inside of, and instead it's going to end up poofing out over by Frenzy Fields where we're currently at, over here by the little, POI capture banner and everything else, and later on, it's going to rift in some Chapter 1 Season 5 items as well. You can see a video on screen by Not Cray, but yeah, we're actually going to see the time travel malfunction and start rifting in Chapter 1 Season 5 stuff into the current Fortnite world, and it's not just going to pop back up in, Kato Thorn's little time travel room or anything, it's going to fully malfunction and pop up in the middle of the Fortnite map. And it's just a weird little oddity that starts being like, okay, so the time on it, being Chapter 1 Season 5's launch is very important. We definitely know that there's some oddities going on here, such as, just the whole entire way of it being rifted in the game, but it starts building on to the recent leaks and rumors we've actually heard. Now, this is the part where we start getting into actual leak and, insider information territory, so just keep that in mind. Now, I'm going to mention one thing here is that I'm not 100% sure if we're rifting the Chapter 4 map into the Chapter 1 map, or the Chapter 1 map into the Chapter 4 map, but I'm just going to kind of read off what I've actually tweeted myself, because it kind of gives us a generalized idea. So it says that the time travel machine will lose control, causing a corruption which will rift the Chapter 4 map into the Chapter 1 map. Information on how the mixed map will look is actually very vague, but what is mentioned by different sources right now is that it won't be fully Chapter 4 and it won't be fully Chapter 1. It's going to be more like 60% the Chapter 1 map mixed with 40% the Chapter 4 map, because keep in mind, the Chapter 1 map was not made around mantling, hurdling any of these new features or even zero build mode, and it would definitely be an odd odd little obstacle to go through when you're actually trying to play in that map, especially with the new textures and everything else. But that is where we kind of get into some even more interesting information. According to all the rumors going around, old guns and old gun models are set to return during this time, and there's also been some rumors about the old graphics returning as well. I don't know if they're actually going to do that because it took them a lot of time to actually make the new graphic system. I think maybe they'll do it so if you're in the Chapter 1 area, you'll be able to have the Chapter 1 smoke graphics and the Chapter 1 graphics overall, but if you're in one of the Chapter 4 areas of the map, you'll have the newer graphics. And I mean, I'm going to be completely honest, I kind of prefer the cartoony smoke graphics from, you know, like RPGs and stuff over the current ones that we have right now, which are very, very realistic. Now, in terms of other things happening, we will be having weekly map changes, most likely rotating through different seasons, that will be leading us up to reliving the black hole event for the second time now, not like one of the remastered black holes, but the original black hole event itself, and then that actual event being remastered or relived through will lead us into Chapter 5, which is why the next season isn't Chapter 4 Season 7 or anything, or Chapter 5 Season 1, and we don't even know if it's going to be Chapter 4 Season 5, but instead it might just be a chapter. It might just be an ending closing part of the book, right? They could obviously call it Chapter 4 Season 5, but they've been very vague with it, just calling it the next season. I've even seen some people saying that since we're returning to Chapter 1 in some odd ways, it could be Chapter 1 Season 11 or something along those lines, which would be a very interesting way to actually place everything. I mean, imagine loading into the game for the first time in the new season and seeing Chapter 1 Season X on your screen once again because of the fact that you're kind of in that area again. Or maybe it's like X squared or something along those lines. Now, this whole entire month-long event is codenamed Rufus, which is set to start November 6th at 4 a.m. Eastern Time. However, it can be pushed forwards or backwards as they need to because these are leaked times from around a few months ago, all the way back to like March, I think. And it was set to end December 3rd at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, which has 4 weeks of map changes and quests for you to actually do, a new battle bus design that is potentially the OG battle bus returning, 2 sets of quests that you're able to actually complete for some new rewards, meaning that the whole entire map remastered situation will also have some unique quests relating to the nostalgia part of Fortnite, and of course it's going to have a LEGO collaboration part of it as well, because we knew about that happening in November. It is going to be codenamed Rufus for the actual, you know, main event that goes on for a month, and then the LEGO collaboration part is called Rufus Juno. Now, Juno is the codename for the LEGO collab on itself, so it appears that whatever is going to be happening, think about it as like this. We're getting the Chapter 4 map, Chapter 1 map mixed together, and for some reason LEGO is somehow going to be in there as well. Are they going to have like a certain area that is made out of Legos or something to show how the time travel machine was unstable and, you know, corrupted and rifted different parts to the old map or something? I'm not entirely for sure, but you know, that is something that is very interesting to keep in mind, is that it appears that the LEGO collaboration that's going to be going down will also be happening on that new remastered version of like a Chapter 4 map mixed with a Chapter 1 map mixed with everything in between. So it's going to be interesting to see how they actually go about doing every single part of it. Now, of course, all this rumored information comes from a few leakers in the community because this was like a combined effort by a lot of people to actually, you know, summarize all the information. My summary comes from me, of course, but in terms of the original information, it comes from Winso over on Twitter and Egyptian Leaker. The more detailed information comes from Sheena and Hypex and someone named FBR Sections over on Twitter, which is Fortnite Battle Royale sections, you know, related to shop tabs and everything. And then the Rufus information, especially the LEGO part, is from G Matrix Games, who, you know, supports the channel a lot and helps out with a lot of stuff we do here. So it has been a huge combined effort where a lot of different sources have been leaking information out there regarding the future of Fortnite, regarding the old map returning, and everything happening. So it appears that yes, the Chapter 1 map will be half returning in some odd way, where 60% of it will be merged with 40% of the current Chapter 4 map, and we will be going through weekly changes for one whole entire month, which relates to their whole entire thing saying in November and December we won't run out of content, and it will be having a lot of hype up and stuff leading up to the storyline, you know, kicking off in full gear towards the launch of Chapter 5 Season 1. And yes, we still will be going into Chapter 5. It's still going to be called that. Just because the time travel machine does whatever it does doesn't mean that we're going to actually have it just called Chapter 2.2 or whatever else. But what I think could happen here is the fact that we're going to an old version of the map. We could potentially be revisited to the 7, you know, revisited to all the little aspects of Fortnite that have been kind of killed off, and they can go ahead and alter the end live event, right? Imagine the black hole, but something is actually fighting the rockets or whatever else, and it leads to a situation where we actually have a longer live event happening that month, you know, with more conflict happening in between here and there. There's just a lot of possibilities what they can do with this, and we do know that they have like 3 or 4 live events being worked on for Fortnite, going under codenames of Rufus, Durian, Radish, all this type of stuff, so there's only no telling of what could actually happen, right? There's a lot of stuff that could happen here, but regardless, sooner rather than later, we will be returning to somewhat of an old map that you will be able to kind of reminisce on and enjoy, while it won't be a complete one-to-one recreation. So what do you think about all this information? Of course there is a lot, and I mean a lot of news going on here, and it almost feels like we're in one of those spots again where if you guys remember the old days of Fortnite back when it was like, oh guys, the meteor's not going to hit Tilted, it's actually going to hit Dusty Divot, or you know, Dusty Depot, whatever else you want to call it. It was an interesting time where everyone was like, okay, you know, this is super hyped up, this is something that is very, very interesting to keep your eyes on, and it appears like we're going back to that time period once again, but this time relating to the Chapter 4 map, going to Chapter 1, and it all relating back to Sloan, Agent Jonesy, it all relating to Revenant, Kato Thorne, time travel, and everything else, and I'm super excited to see what the future of Fortnite has in store, right? I mean, especially with all the collaborations and stuff we have nowadays, imagine being in one of the old areas like Haunted Hills or whatever else, or even being in like the Castle Ruins, which eventually got reverted to Starry Suburbs, and being able to actually use the newer collaborations like Michael Myers, Jack Skellington, Mr. Beast, or whatever else on a little bit of what resembles the old Chapter 1 map. But until next time, hope Jams and Jambits enjoyed today's video, and I'll catch you guys a little bit later with another upload. Peace out.